because we should start doing that. Okay, cool. Well, welcome. RJ, you were on here first, so I want to give you the opportunity. If you have any questions or concerns, we should go over them. We were talking just this morning about what big things we want to prioritize in future updates, and I've got literally this pile of sticky notes here.
Yeah.
Let's make sticky notes.
I have a question about an item in your sticky notes. Is there in the roadmap a spot where we can go and manage the memories, the user memories? Right now, it's really hard to tell if the memory is there or not, and specifically what went where. Gosh, all that type of stuff. It would be so much easier to test and troubleshoot if I could, not just see this person has 78 memories, but
actually see what the memories are for that person. Sorry, so I'm just making sure I understand you. Have a place where you can go to John and see all of the memories for John.
Yeah, see all the memories and see. I've actually started outlining a document for you about, things that would be super useful at this end. I'd like to see all of John's memories, and I'd like to see which user memory, because we can have 10 buckets basically, which bucket it went in, and what it consists of, if possible, because then I can see much better what's happening behind the scenes. Right now, it's kind of guessing, and I'm also kind of having to go through the front interface to say, hey, do you have this memory? And it'll make it easier to troubleshoot when people say, hey, it doesn't seem to be remembering this. So
good news for you on that front. That's something we've already talked about even today. Before this time next week, it will be out, and I'm excited for it. And I can say that with confidence, because you hit the nail on the head. That's something we're actively thinking about.
Beautiful.
Any other questions or concerns, or maybe we can go over to Mike and do a little rotation.
Yeah, let's rotate, because I've got others, but let's rotate for everybody else first.
And I had a quick request. When these questions happen, Nathaniel, I guess you'll show them visually, because I think I'm following her question. That's great.
Oh,
but just because memories are pretty new, I actually watched the video a few days ago, but it'd be great to. I think I'll learn better if I see you do it.
Yeah. So let's just talk about it really quickly. So here's what this is, RJ, I'm going to kind of paraphrase you, but also talk about what we're thinking about internally. This is kind of a small thing, but I think it'll be a big help. Currently, when I click on this Nathaniel Mahold at berkeley.edu, I get this menu that pops out from the side. And actually, RJ, I think this does already show the memories that it has collected about me all in one place. So were you talking about something slightly different?
Yes. Although I haven't seen this before necessarily.
Well, this is good. So what we're talking about is if you go to activity and you click on user, you get this beautiful little pop-out menu, and this actually shows all the memories for a particular user.
Wow.
And if you go over to user memory, and we wait a second, because I think it takes a minute to load, or maybe we deleted the memories. Okay, maybe we deleted them, but typically if you go here and you click on a user, this same menu will pop out that has access to all the memories this user has. Now, look, there's a scrolling issue here, which I just am now.
Scrolling issue.
Okay, scrolling issue. But
there's a scrolling. Go ahead.
But here's the problem. If you go over to manage users and you click on this, completely different menu.
Yeah, and that's what I've been looking at. And you're, in my head going, I think we might need some help here. The other thing is, it depends on how things are written, but since mine is storing differently, mine is storing in like there's a lot of JSON. It's giving me JSON. Do you want to see what I'm seeing?
Totally.
Yeah. Okay.
But
So
just to finish the thought on that, we're going to merge those two menus so that you can control, like you'll have a really great like user panel where you can know all the information about the user and also change anything about the user in one place. But okay, wow, look at this. So probably RJ, you're definitely falling victim to the scrolling issue because you can't scroll on that right-hand panel.
oh yeah. Yeah.
Well, that's
And I
good.
really, yeah. And I can't even really tell what's happening here because of the way that it's, you know what I
Let's-
mean?
Or for our people that this should be really low-hanging fruit without even consolidating these menus. Let's just make it so that when this scroll occurs, when you open this menu, scrolling controls the right menu and not the left stuff. I'll make a mental note of that. That should be low-hanging fruit.
That is my entire report right for now. We can move on to somebody else. But yeah, it'd be great to be able to read this too, because I don't know what any of those things mean. And it sort of defaults to this. So
RJ, if you do me a favor, just to help answer Mike's question here, if you click on the user memory tab there.
User memory, got it.
Now, RJ has set up a lot of user memories. So if you
Oh.
haven't set up any user memories, then nothing will appear there.
Got it. Thank you.
Okay. Nicole, you raised your hand. Mike, I know, though, that you joined a little bit
I'll go
late.
after Nicole. I'm good. So I can wait.
Good. Awesome. Nicole?
I guess
Good to
I'd
see
like. Thanks. Hi. Good to see you always. RJ, someday I want to know what you're doing. I love your costume every time in your background. I want to know what you're doing. Okay. So I had a question about user memory. Let's see how I do. Let's see. Share screen. There we go. There. You see my screen? I did it right this time. Okay. So I have to go over here. So if I have user memory, I realized that until just now, I added first name, last name, and email address, right? And so then I'm collecting a bunch of information about them. Is there a better way? Can I just add more tabs? Where do I max out on how much I want to keep about them? Or like, I've kind of grouped some of these into knowledge, but tell me a little more about how I would want to wisely use this as I start to get more users and more AI tools.
This is a great question. I can talk a little bit about it, and RJ might also have some advice. And we're thinking about it. So let me try my best to explain. I'll share my screen.
That's cool. Yeah.
Thank you. Okay. So I'll present this. And perfect. Okay. So user memory. So each user memory will go into one like text block in the back end in a database. It'll store as a text block. And the way that this system works, I think that it's kind of like the document system. When a user has an interaction, let's say the user says like, hello, how are you? It combines that with the prompt and it tries to figure out, it looks at, say you've got 10 different user memories. It looks at them and it says, are any of these relevant to this question and answering? And if it thinks that only, and the bar is pretty low. So, the bar isn't so high. But if it thinks that like, hey, maybe 5 of them are relevant, 5 of them aren't, it might not include 5 of them in that generation. If you include all of them in one, so you say like, this is just my user information, user information. And I say like, collect in a list, email, name, phone number, update when new information, is discovered, whatever. This will basically store them all in one block. This block can be up to 1,000 words, approximately. So you can actually store a lot of information in each block. And if you just have one and you store everything in one, probably this one will come up every single time. And it's limited to 1,000 words. So it's kind of a decision to make whether or not you want to stick them all in one or spread them out across a bunch. Even for Pro, we limit you at 10. Right now, you can get special dispensation from us to go above that, but so Nicole, you could email us and we could talk about it, but the reason we limit that is just so that we're worried that if people spend a bunch of time making 500 of these, they might end up in a confused state. So does that help to answer your question?
I'd love to know maybe then how RJ is using them. So yeah, if I've got business leaders that are coming in and they're crafting messages and books and strategies, and so they're using different AI tools, and I want them to have a seamless experience. So if they use one AI tool and I've learned information about them, and they go over to another tool, I want that tool to know who they are.
The easiest way to do that on my end would be, instead of saying collect, email, name, whatever, collect, you have user information as one, and you say collect, and up to 1,000 word comprehensive summary of all the information you've learned about this person. Update it as they continue to interact. And this, I spelled that wrong. This will be like generic in general. Like, let's say you wanted to remember. And in fact, you could make this and add this, then let it go for a week, then come back, look at all the things this produces, and be like, does this look right? Maybe I want to include, maybe I want to, make sure you comment on their mood, whatever, or make sure you remember their ICP, or something.
Nice.
Does that make sense?
Yeah, that helps. So I might do two. I could do one about kind of them and their business, and another one about their book.
Exactly.
Okay. And then just keep them and keep it current on wherever their current idea is.
Yeah, and they're limited to 1,000 words. So that's the one thing to keep in mind, but that's still kind of a lot.
That's a lot.
We think, at least.
That should be plenty. Thanks.
See, Mike, you have a question. Do user memories cross studios? No information is available across studios, and user memories do not cross studios. Our concept is that studios are each their own compartments of stuff, and we try to make it so that you can be more flexible within your studios. But
Makes sense.
every studio will have a different set of users, and yeah.
100% got it.
Awesome. I just want to give a chance to, I think I saw Alexandra join. Welcome. And feel free to jump in if you have any questions.
I don't have, I always have so many questions for you guys, but no, I was just lurking. I happened to be working and I saw you were live here. So I thought I'd come creep and see if I learn anything from you guys, because every session I find something new. So yeah.
Like you mentioned.
Yeah.
Welcome.
Awesome. Good to see you guys. I'm seeing some familiar faces now, so I guess it's starting to be regular, which is pretty cool. So yeah.
So I have two questions. If I could ask them, I don't want push anyone out. So my first question is, are in subscriptions, is it possible to sell a subscription to a user and have multiple users on that subscription? In other words, I think I shared with you last week that I have this capacity command center. Nonprofits will purchase a subscription, but if different people within the nonprofit use the subscription, I don't necessarily want like the grant writer to be seeing what the executive director is using on the tool. So is that possible? Is it something that I'm missing, or is it not something that is possible?
I'm sorry. Can you restate that a
Yeah,
little bit?
yeah. Can I share my screen so I can explain it probably
absolutely.
more easily? Okay. So where is it? Okay. So I have this capacity command center, and let's say Free Cancer Kids has a subscription, and they're paying for the subscription that allows them access to all of these tools. And Free Cancer Kids has a volunteer coordinator that is more likely to use the volunteer coordinator tool. And so that volunteer coordinator is getting their work boosted by the help here. But then the executive director wants to use the studio and is asking for wants help on the board governance coach. Right now, when you use it, you can see what different people are asking. And so my question is there a way that different people on one account cannot see what other people are asking? Is that clear?
Yeah. So I guess the accounts are supposed to be the determiner of, usage. If somebody's using the same account as another person, we imagine them in our system to be the same person. So are you saying that multiple different people are using it from the same account? I guess we would say they should use different accounts, but maybe I'm not understanding you correctly, but if you'll humor me for just a moment, I'll say,
you.
Okay.
I keep going, but what I was going to do is pull it up so that you can see.
Okay.
So if I what I'm doing is I'm trying to sell this to nonprofits, and so the idea is a nonprofit, if they pay for the all access and they get all of these tools, different people in the nonprofit can then use it. Otherwise, I won't be able to charge. I won't be able to sell it to the nonprofit. I would have to sell individual accounts, presumably, for much less.
Mike, I'm so glad you brought this up. This is a great one. This is a great question. So, okay. So yeah, I totally understand what you're getting at. So let me just tell you what we typically see today, and maybe we can even think a bit together about what to do. And I just want to say welcome, Brad. Good to see you. Today, we have a lot of people who are selling kind of direct to individuals, and they sell through us, and it's just one account, one person. Great. And then we do have a bunch of people who are selling to organizations, and typically the organization sales cycle is big enough that instead of going through our payment rails, and I'm kind of outing us here because of course we want people to use our payment rails, but they will just invoice the organization directly. It'll be like a negotiated thing, and then they won't charge through us, and they will just go through, and there's a bunch of different ways to do this. People do it differently, but they will like add all the members of that organization to their studio as in bulk, which you can do. Or there's other ways to do it. There's APIs, there's some other things, but you can just basically take a CSV and copy and paste it and add all the emails. Now, what you're talking about, I think would be really cool is if we said, hey, well, why don't we make it easier for people who are selling to businesses to, to all be on the same plan, as it were. Like you can kind of share among each thing. So if we can just take like 2 minutes and talk together about how that might work. So the way you're doing it, you're not doing it on a per seat level. So like if another person wants to come in, maybe they would instead, they wouldn't charge 279, they would charge 50, but they would tell that organization, hey, if you have more people that want to use it, they have to buy another seat. And that would actually work kind of natively, except that the one caveat is typically all the people in the organizations don't have their own credit card. You would still want, you'd want one person to be able to buy it on behalf of the other people. And then the final way to think about it is you're not doing it on a per seat basis. You just want somebody to be able to, give access from their thing to other people. Now, the risk with that is if we generically allowed a user to give access to other users, well, then you might end up in a situation where you got one user who's like, I bought this. Let me give this to everybody, like,
Yeah.
so I wonder how we could do that.
I just want to jump in to say I have the same issue. Exactly, Mike. Like we also have we work with startups and small companies and nonprofits. And so a lot of the time it's like an individual user, but a lot of times it's just like really small teams. And it's exactly the same use case as what you're doing. So I'm really interested in what we come up with.
I mean,
and I know the
yeah,
SaaS model is probably more common to, like, when you buy a Salesforce subscription, it's per the number of users. But at the same time, at the nonprofits I've led, when we bought Salesforce, you get up to 10 users for the subscription.
Yeah.
And each user has a different, they even set up their stuff differently. So
I'll tell you what, I'm glad you brought this up. I don't think we have an answer for this today, but this is something for us to think about. And in the meantime, you have the possibility of these other patterns of potentially just, like, for example, let's say that they bought it. Well, obviously this isn't ideal because we prefer this to be automatic, but you can be like, hey, I saw you bought this. Do you have other users at your organization that want to use this? Why don't you send me the list of emails, and the whole process would take 5 minutes, stick them in, then they'll all have access. That'll be beautiful. Obviously, we would prefer that to be automated, but that's a pattern that might work in the meantime.
sure, I'll do that then. I mean, it would be a good problem to have because I don't have any sales. So
Yeah.
That would be great.
Did you have a second question? I thought you said you had.
Yeah, I did. So the other question that I have is specifically, and I'm just going to share my screen again real quickly. So I am also doing this as well. So I've created. I don't think you can see it. I've created a version of this. It doesn't seem to be moving. I'm sorry. I've created a for-profit version of this, which is basically I am gonna. So this is a finance analyst. So I've created this. And what I did when I created the embed is I said you could use it 3 times, and then you would have to pay for a subscription. But the problem is, and maybe it's not a problem, maybe it's just the way it works, but when I did it, what happened was it immediately did this. After the 3, the person clicked subscribe, and then what happened was it basically went over and it did, I have a lot of windows open.
Oh no. Brad, while we're waiting for Mike to come back, I just you have the floor if you have any questions, or if you're just listening in. I love your backdrop, by the way. Very cool. You're muted, by the way.
Hold on. How about now? Can you hear me?
Yes, sir.
Awesome. Yeah, thanks. I appreciate it. No, I'm just I just started messing around with this. I'm doing a lot of stuff. I work with the mortgage profession, and I'm just building some things in here. And I saw that you guys were having like a live office hour, so I figured I'd jump in here while I'm multitasking.
That's-
I do have a quick question though. Like I'm just testing it out, trying to build this prompt thing for it to generate like Facebook ads. And for whatever reason, when I go to it, I don't know if it's just a preview. I'm in the free account. I'm about to upgrade now. I just wanted to test it out a little bit. It's showing like the user input below. Like, is it supposed to do that, or is it like I was imagining like it would just be like they fill out the field that they're supposed to, and then it generates the input. But I feel like it's like, is it supposed to show all that information?
I'm a little confused about what you're talking about. Would you mind sharing your screen? And Mike, sorry, but we'll circle back in just a second.
My
That's all
bad.
right.
Yeah.
Got it.
Yeah. So I just got to find out where. Let me see. I got distracted. So all right. So I'll just share this window. Sorry, guys. I think it's this one right here. All right.
Oh, okay. This is pricing, by the way.
Yeah,
no,
no, I get that. So I started doing like it. I guess I was doing the embed to kind of like, I guess whatever that was. Where's the pickaxe? So like this is where I started. Like I built this.
Yeah.
Right. So like when I go to this, it's showing like all this stuff. Like, is it gonna like, is that like history of what it's doing for me? Because I was thinking it was just gonna, or is it like an internal?
This is the history just for you. So if you were a different user, you wouldn't see any of this. Like if you send this link to us, we won't see this.
Okay. And I'm probably going to embed it on the code. That's what you, or on a page. Is that what you guys recommend, or? Yeah.
Well, you can do it by the embeds, you can do it with the studio, but it sounds like maybe if your use case is the embed, then you can, they won't see this history. This is just for you because it knows you,
Gotcha. So just out of curiosity here, and then I'll let Mike finish what he was asking. So I'm thinking like, I have a community where we, teach that, like provide everything, websites, the whole nine, and this is just gonna be another thing that they get access to. So they'll get access at no additional cost. But I'm also thinking like in terms of a lead magnet, like to get people, because I noticed like in the embed, like you can set the limit where they can only do like one output.
Yep.
So is there like any training in here or a document you can like put in so I could just like, instead of taking up all your time here, like I could just go read about it, like how I would do that? Or can you suggest an idea?
Well, for that specifically, there might not be something that's quite perfect. I'll tell you what I want to do. I'm going to give you a video that's like a kind of a comprehensive walkthrough. And I think it does touch on that a little bit, which is here. And then, but I'll just tell you right now, we see a pattern a lot where people embed a tool as a lead magnet. They put a limit on the number of interactions somebody can have. They collect information on that person. And then it sounds like you might not have discovered this yet, but we have this whole other studio concept thing, which you can white label and put at a custom domain. And oftentimes, especially if you're selling a suite of tools and you want to add these AI things as an addition to that, that makes it really easy to go from the embed to, like a nice little user area where they can, because right now you're talking about how it's confusing that you see your own history, but it can be good for them to see their history over the course of time if they're using it a lot, which of course you hope that they would be.
Yeah, I mean, I like in full transparency, like I started using this 5 minutes ago, and then you know what I mean. So like I also like I'm more of a click buttons, figure it out, and then go figure out how to do things with learning centers and stuff. So
this is
I'm
great.
Sure there's a lot.
It's the most amazing thing. Thanks so much for jumping on and listening in too. Like if I want these office hours to be full of people that just started using it 5 minutes ago, because that's the most amazing, awesome, badass thing. So honestly, just thank you so much for jumping on. And honestly, well, I want to get to finishing Mike's question. Alexander had a question. I see Nicole has a question, but Brad, you'll do me a favor. You just started using this 5 minutes ago. So we just answered your question, which is great. but tell me some other things. Do you have any other things? Like, it's the most valuable, you know?
Like as far as
Just perceptions, confusions, anything. You know?
no, I mean, I don't like, I use High Level. I'm sure a lot of you guys are familiar with High Level. I sell to the mortgage niche. I'm a mortgage professional. I built out a system for myself and started accidentally building another business because I got a lot of community feedback. So like when it comes to the AI stuff, we have booking bots. I have emails getting written in real time by AI. Like our drip campaigns, they're not even pre-written. So like, this is just another thing. Like we built this thing called the Vortex. So like it's a series of information that I've given them to create master classes, all the video scripting, the email copy. And now this is just another thing where it's like, hey, if you want to create your own ads, just put in what type of loan you want. And then I have the prompt in here, like researching the avatar, taking the avatar, and then building 2 versions of text for like ADA and PAS, problem, agitate, solution, headlines, all that stuff. And I'm like, this is pretty badass. So now it's like, I'm just going to build a bunch of these bots.
That's great to hear. Awesome. Well, feel free to jump in if there are other questions. I think, Mike, we should let you finish because you were halfway.
Yeah,
sorry about that, guys. I apologize.
Oh, no.
Sorry about that. So here's my are you able to see my screen? So I just pulled both up. So what happened was on the right, when it was used the 3 credits, it clicked subscribe and then it went to this page. And then it looks like, and maybe this is on me, at the top it says 3 credits left. So if you sign up, you get 3 more credits. So it might just have to do with my screw up on the tool, using the Stripe setup for the products. But what I was hoping it would just do is it would be a payment page for Stripe so that they would just. So my question is there a way for it to go straight to Stripe from this finance analyst tool over to just a straight payment page? Is that something I'm doing wrong, or is that just the tool?
The way it currently works, if they're logged out, we need them to log in before we try to get them to pay. Because, and you know what, honestly, there's a world in which we reconsider that a little bit, because I think in the circumstances where you want to get people to pay, you don't want a login to be like a blocker. So I'm going to write that down as a potential reordering. What we don't want to happen is for somebody to pay, and then maybe they now are presented with making an account, and maybe they don't make an account, and then they have a payment without an account, and that could cause some problems. They're going to be emailing us, they're going to be emailing you, they're going to be saying, what the hell? But I'll make a note that maybe we can facilitate logged out payments, and maybe we can just create an internal rule where if they don't make an account within 24 hours of the payment, we refund them and cancel it. Could be an idea. So,
okay.
So not just you, general problem, but a good call out for sure.
Okay, that's great. And I have a closing tip for everybody, especially if you're new, that I've done, and I hope this is okay with Nathaniel. But I've gone to if you use Notebook LM on Google, what I've done is I've taken all of the Pickaxe videos, the website, everything. I've created a notebook, and now it's basically Pickaxe School for me. So what I do is I go to the Pickaxe School and I just ask questions. So in case I missed it in a video, and it's been pretty cool. So
I would also say, just to add on to that, to go here, and this is the doorman.
Oh, okay.
And just a place to go, which is our own version of that. But honestly, there might be some new up-to-date stuff with doing it through Notebook. I will say, just in the last week, we are going in here and updating this and making sure that it's up to date. So
okay.
if it could be a good resource. It's funny, I had a customer conversation yesterday or the day before where somebody was like, I talked to ChatGPT about how to use Pickaxe, and I was going and talking to it. And when they finally got on the call with me, they were talking about all kinds of stuff, like terminology we don't use, things that are completely made up, And I was like, dude, you should talk to the doorman, because he might be able to help you. Okay. I saw that both Nicole and Alexandra had questions, but Alexandra, I think you wrote yours into the chat a little earlier. So, do you want to take a shot?
Yeah, but hopefully they'll be really quick, and if not, I'll come bug you another time.
Okay.
This I have a ticket into the support team, but I think I send them too many emails, so it might have just gotten lost. So one of the issues we were having was just when people did sign up that they weren't getting the activation email. So I was doing the hack, like you were saying, of adding people in bulk, and just once they most of ours are free for now, so we were just giving them access. And I was doing the manual invite, as you were saying earlier, just shooting them off. And so they get an invite email. And then a lot of them were missing it. It was going to junk or spam because it didn't, I guess, recognize the domain. So that was hurdle one, was just people were like, oh, I don't get the email. I don't get the email. And then the support team said that, one thing to do, which I think is smart, is that the activation emails, the sender name, is based on I couldn't remember if it was the studio name or the username. I think it's the username.
It's the studio name.
Oh, okay. Okay. So it'll be blah blah studio name .pickaxestudios.com or whatever as the sender.
Yeah, and
so,
actually, it's actually just to say, it's the emails come from something that's like your studio name, but sometimes we take out spaces or whatever, at mail.studio.
Yeah.
And mail.studio at least isn't obviously associated with Pickaxe, so helpful in the sense of white labeling that. But anyway,
yeah. No, that's good. Thank you for. Yeah, I couldn't remember the details. So they were just suggesting, one thing to make sure it's not going to junk or spam, and so people recognize that we rename the studios to the company name or whatever, so it's more recognizable. So my quick question was just if I do that, is there any risk to links changing or anything like that? So if we've already shared the studio, the links to each studio, and then I go rename them now, for the sake of the emails, I'm just kind of wondering if that's going to break anything, because we've been splattering and sharing the links all over the internet.
I think I spoke with somebody on the support team last night about this, so maybe
maybe it's me being nagging them. Yeah. Okay.
But no, so the links won't change. Links will not change. The name of your thing will change visibly on the thing.
Yep.
And I think the email will change. I hope the email changes, because if it doesn't, I think we're going to double check that. But I think the email does change. But if somebody still responds to an email from the old name, it will still work. I think. So
cool.
Might be wrong about that, but that's how I think it will work.
Okay.
And you said there was a second question?
Yeah, the other one, this actually could be really quick or maybe as long, and you'll tell me to go away. So I'm having an issue with some of my pickaxes just lying / hallucinating. And I know this is generally a problem in prompting. So I've tried to put in the model reminders and in the instructions repeatedly, do not lie. If you do not know the answer, do not give it, but yeah. I'm still having one of mine in particular, which is basically a bot for our site. And we've given a ton of info. And I'm just I don't know how to make it listen. It just invents stuff. And I don't know where it comes up with things. It's kind of very creative, but I don't know what else to do. I've left the creativity down, and I told it not to lie, but it just does not listen to me.
Well, I can give you some quick tips, and you can see if they help, and then we can circle back.
Okay.
First of all, I would not change the creativity from 0.8.
Okay.
Because it can be dangerous. It can have unintended consequences of reducing it, and maybe even make the model work less well, which you might think, okay, it's going to be less creative in terms of making stuff up, but it might even be less creative in terms of like if you gave somebody a lobotomy, they might not understand your instructions. You know, so that is something to mention. I would recommend, you may have already done this, but pulling the relevance cutoff to low and the
Oh
knowledge
no.
to high. This will help make sure if you have a lot of stuff in the knowledge base that you've worked hard to stick in there, that it's actually going to use it all the time. We
Okay.
set this to a good middle ground that's kind of in between. So the bot won't get overwhelmed with all the knowledge in the knowledge base. But if you're building a tool that's like sole purpose is basically like pulling knowledge from the knowledge base, you can put this down. I wouldn't put this one all the way up, but I would definitely put it to like maybe, you know, somewhere between 5 and 10K.
Okay.
And the final thing I would say is, you probably have already done this, but try changing the model and let me know.
No, I haven't. Okay.
Let us know. Some of them are just better at listening to certain types of instructions than others. We've got a big video that we've been working a lot on this week about choosing models and the difference between them. So I think that'll come out next week, but and that will be helpful. But in the meantime, just try rotating between smart models.
Okay.
Awesome.
That's awesome. Thank you so much. That was really helpful.
Nicole, thanks for your patience.
Oh, I'm sorry. A couple of quick questions. First, it occurred to me, like I'm paying for ChatGPT for my employees, and I got to thinking about, should I move them into a Pickaxe and then they're using my Pickaxe tool instead of their own ChatGPTs? Is that a
There are advantages and disadvantages to that. We have seen people do that before, even at some, you know, medium-sized organizations. The advantages are, unlike with ChatGPT, you can get a lot more information about what they're doing, which can be interesting on one perspective, and on the other side, helpful for you to just understand what problems within your own organization. The disadvantage is just that, you know, Pickaxe is really focused on like providing functionality for external use, you know, and so, you know, you will have to determine whether or not like if ChatGPT comes out with a new feature, sometimes we'll have it out in a day, sometimes we'll have it out in a month. You know, for voice, for example, that's something that we've struggled with for a while. So, you know, be cognizant of maybe that like they might miss out on like talking to it as much as like going to ChatGPT, but there are the advantages of branding and visibility. You know?
I think I might design some custom tools that are how I would answer questions in and put them in it. So that was my big aha from today and takeaway. Other question is, any quick tips? Like I'm going to redo how I've been doing user memory, but now I've got 12 people under the old model. Is there any good way to rename them, or do I have to just kind of, will it blow away if I delete a user memory category?
We have fixed it thanks to RJ's input. So you can edit user memories without deleting them.
Oh, sweet.
Now.
Okay.
So, you know, even if you're going to make major changes, if you just change whichever one's closest, whichever other one is closest, it will, if not blow away the old ones, but it will evolve them based on the prompt, but potentially still retain nuggets of information from the old system, if that makes sense.
Yep. Okay. And I'm good then. Thanks.
Awesome. Stephen, welcome, by the way. I'm not sure if I've seen you before, so thanks for joining us.
Yeah, I'm new here. Found you guys like a few days ago and just been geeking out hard because we've been looking for a solution like this. It's like everything we need. Question on, I'm a marketer, so I change prices like all the time because I'm testing things. If I do, let's say, a founding member deal on a price tier, and then I delete that and change my mind a week later and change a different price, will that be an issue like at all? As far as like changing pricing of things, or like having like a legacy thing that goes away and now there's a different price. Let's say founding members get unlimited access for a certain price, and then a month from now I'm selling a subscription. I'm sure you guys see this a lot. So I just want to make sure I don't break anything as I'm kind of planning the roadmap a little bit.
That's a great question, and we get that pretty much every office hours. So you're in good
Okay,
company. Um, uh, I'm just pulling this up here to show a visual example, but
Okay,
while
cool.
the short answer is, let's say you put a price, and then a week later you want to change the price. We don't currently let you change the price, which is kind of a grandfathered in from Stripe
Cool.
situation. But, and I'll share my screen now because we're ready to do that.
Because that creates like basically a product on Stripe that has to be that product forever. So it has to be almost a new product, essentially.
Exactly. But I'll explain how it works. I think it's going to work perfectly for you. If somebody's on this tier,
Okay.
you can still remove it. I think this is maybe a change just in the last day or two. We used to say archive. Now we say remove. But
Okay.
one way or another, under the hood, it archives this product. So anybody who's currently on it will still have it. They'll have it until they cancel. They'll still see it. It won't
Okay.
change again. But new people won't see it.
Won't be an option. Okay. Yeah.
You can just create a new one for the new people.
Cool. Cool.
Does that make sense?
That makes a lot of sense. Yeah. That's what I was hoping for, just where I can make promises now to people, and then those promises, I don't make them to future people, but I don't cancel all the promises I've made in the past.
Yeah.
So that's awesome.
And it's the same as what we do at Pickaxe. When we raise prices, which we do from time to time, we leave
Yeah.
everybody who's on the old price at the old price, which is kind of a nice thing to do. But then all the new people have to pay the new price.
Yeah. 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 That's awesome. Very cool. I only had one other, like, if there's no other questions, one other simple, small question. In the where we do a lot of education, online education, and so we're baking that into the tools that we're building. So it's like, here's how to use this tool, and there's a video in the embedded in the like introduction message. And I mean, it's been awesome. Like, we able to embed buttons and everything in there. Like, we essentially just take our
There's the buttons. That's great. That's good.
yeah. We're just we use a lot of Markdown and stuff, and in our current training portal. So we're just like literally able to copy a lesson over into the introduction message, and the whole lesson pops up in there, which is like so awesome. Buttons and resources and downloads is super cool. The one thing I'm finding is the video size is like small. And what the current workaround I found is essentially like, I don't know if I can share my screen too. Can I do that?
Well, I'll let you share your screen, but let me just share my screen first so that I know
Okay, yeah.
what we're talking about. So
essentially you put a video link in there, Vimeo, YouTube, and it pops up pretty small, but what I'm kind of doing is just write some text above it, and it'll expand it out. I don't know if there's an easier way to just, like, if I was just going to do a video, to make it like just fill up more of the space, essentially.
So just so that I understand, we're saying, like, if there was text surrounding this would be a reasonable size. But if the video was really the only thing in the message, we might want the video to be bigger. Is that correct?
Yeah. I found the video responds to kind of what you put around it, which is nice. But if you just have a video, it's pretty small in there, and then maybe that's because on mobile it'd just be. Well, actually, no, I don't know. I probably feel it seems like it's responsive, but the container is a little small by default, I guess.
Okay, I'll tell you what. We'll look into that. I think we can easily make them a bit bigger. I think, like, I don't know if we will make them full screen, but maybe we can at least like make it like twice as big. And then another question
We
is,
do a lot of like screen sharing where it's like it's a little small for them to see what's going on, you know? If it's just a talking head, it kind of is, it doesn't matter. But my little workaround is I type a sentence with it, and if the sentence is long enough, it'll just make the video big as well.
well, you know what I'll tell you? We probably don't want that to be, we want you to be able to control the size of the video beyond that kind of hackiness. So we'll make note of that, but I appreciate that feedback.
Okay.
I just ask one question, which is, you're doing with YouTube videos?
YouTube or Vimeo, or the only one I wasn't actually, have I tried that one? I haven't tried that one, but we also use this thing called Vidalytics, which is like a more video tracking kind of software. But pretty much everything I've thrown at it has, for the most part, worked.
Yeah, I think we expand Vimeo and I think we expand Loom. But if any
Oh,
of you
Loom.
have not,
Cool.
like, let me know if there's a video service that you use that is fairly common that we don't currently like make nice, and we'll make it nice.
Okay, cool.
Awesome.
How often do you guys do these office hours?
Great question.
Right
We do them at this hour from 11 to noon PST on Thursdays and
Okay.
from 4 to 5 PST on Tuesdays. And those are the fixed times. And we're going to be adding a couple more off times and experimenting with different formats. But Tuesday from 4 to 5 PST and 11 or Thursday from 11 to noon PST are the main ones.
Cool. That's awesome.
Yeah. Sky, I see you raise your hand. Welcome. Good to see you.
Yeah, thank you. Just to go off of Stephen's question, I have that same thing. I'm constantly trying different price points and things. Nathaniel, what's the difference between a hidden product and removing the product?
That's a great question. I personally, among everybody, pushed for the idea of a hidden product, and I don't think anybody actually uses it, which is fine.
Why use it?
Well, that's good. Removing a product means that it's not going to clutter your list here. You're not thinking you're going to be giving it to anybody. The people who already have it will get to keep it, but you're never going to see it again. Yeah, having a hidden product means that people, if they go to your pricing page, they will not see it. So that's great. But you might want to, like, let's say that you have friends that you want to, like, you don't want them to pay. You want to give them all access to everything. You can just give them access to this hidden product and boom, they're going to have all the stuff. Or maybe, it's less of a friend and more like the situation we were talking with Mike about earlier, where he wants to put everybody on like a tier of like, they didn't pay for it, but they're associated with somebody that paid for it, so I want to give them access. Maybe he creates a hidden tier that has slightly different.
Okay.
And he can just add those people to that tier.
Beautiful.
That makes sense.
Yeah, that makes sense. My second question is, when it especially happens in the studio, and I don't know if it just happens to me as the owner, but when I pick a tool, the title of the tool and the icon don't appear, just the chat box.
Let me just make sure that I understand what you're talking about here. So we go into here, maybe we go to here. This is our thing. We go here, and sometimes this is not showing up. Here it did, but sometimes this is not. Okay.
Correct. Yep.
Okay, this is a bug that we did notice. I did think we fixed it, but if you're saying that you experienced it in the last day, then we probably didn't. It especially happens when you're clicking between ones, I've noticed. So is it still happening maybe in like the last 24 hours, Sky?
Oh yeah.
Okay.
Every tool I tried to open, it happened.
Okay, well, okay. We will go back and try to continue fixing that. If you could send I'm sure you already maybe did, but just if you didn't already, maybe just shoot an email to info@pickaxeproject.com with the link to your studio. I'm sure maybe you already did, but if you didn't, they could maybe assist a little bit more there, and we could try to get to the bottom of it. Yeah.
So would the correct words be the title and the icon are not populated?
Yeah, and if you have a video or even screenshots, but
Okay.
yeah, like, and if it's happening on load, if it's happening when you're clicking around. Generally, I thought we had fixed this, but it seems like it's still lingering for some. So sorry about that, and we can take a look. I saw that Alexandra and Nicole maybe were there any questions in there? Okay, good. Well, have we had any new people join? I don't think so. So any Any more questions to go kind of back around the circle?
Yeah, I got one. So when we were talking about the memory, you said that 1,000 words. Did you mean the user memory prompt, or did you mean that's the total that you can keep in any one memory at one time?
The latter. 1,000 words is the total you can keep in any one memory at one time. It's actually one of the many sticky notes here on my list is document memory, which would be much more like, you know, if a user uploaded a document, that would go into their permanent user memory and could be used later. And like basically just allowing for longer form memory. But for now, yeah, each memory is limited to 1,000 words.
Okay. And so what if you're a geek and you're keeping things in, because I'm storing things as JSON elements.
Right, I saw that.
How does that, am I screwing with the system? Should I not do that? But it allows me to put a lot in there that's categorized.
No, I think doing the JSONs are a good idea. But yeah, it's just the total length of it might limit out at 1,000 words. You know, and you might have to have a different JSON for a different kind of category of memories, if that makes sense.
It does. And then is there any because like when you're writing the prompt and if it goes over 1,000 or 1,024 characters is what it allows in the prompt, if you go over that, it goes, yeah, we're not going to save, you got to fix that. What happens when I get to 90% of a memory bucket? What happens? Is there any warning that I'm about to go over that stuff's not going to save? Or
it's not, yeah, so I can speak to that. The way that it's supposed to work, and I think this is the way it's working, at least I've seen some evidence of this, is it knows it only has 1,000 words, and it's smart. Depending on what model you're using, you know, it's smart. So usually when it gets kind of full, it's not like going to overrun and break the whole thing. It's going to start itself considering how to consolidate. Maybe it's going to, you know, consolidate information or stick things together. But it'll start summarizing essentially automatically. And I have seen this happen, which is what we intend, you know. It's kind of like humans. Like we learn the new thing. We don't immediately forget the first thing, but we do start doing some internal summarization.
so working like a brain works, basically.
That's we're all moving towards that together. It's incredible. Okay, thank you guys so much for coming on. I have to jump, but some big changes and improvements coming in the next week or so. You know, we've got Uli on here, who's our new designer, and Maciek, who's starting to work with us as an engineer as well. So they're listening in, and we're thinking about. I'm sure Uli's going to come in and tell me, Nathaniel, there's a million things you know, we got to do all this stuff. So I'm super excited. Bye-bye, guys.